Hi everyone, my name is Tanner, and this is going to be part 8 of my coming out series that I wanted to call Power and Vulnerability. And the reason I'm making this is that I've been reflecting a lot, and I've been realizing that I've gone through a lot of struggles, especially in the past 2.5 years since I made the previous part to my series. And a lot of what got me through these struggles and helped build my resilience and keep my head held high is by listening to stories of other people and by talking with people who have helped me, and listening to musical artists too who have conveyed those kind of sentiments through their music. And so I want to kind of convey what I've gone through today, and hopefully you guys out there can resonate with what I've gone through as well. Even if you can't relate to it directly, maybe you can relate to at least parts of it and similar emotions that you can realize that you're not alone in taking to this new year. So a little bit of background. So I came out back in my high school yearbook quote, which was, I started high school with straight A's, now I'm not even straight, I'm still me though. And it was so incredibly difficult to put that out there, but I'm really glad I did it in hindsight. And right now I'm a senior in college, studying biology and public health with a minor in psychology on the pre-genetic counseling track. I'm applying to grad schools right now. And I've had so many interactions with other people who identify as LGBTQ+, and I've just learned so much that I wanted to share today. So throughout my college experience, I've come out to a lot of people, a lot of friends at college, and then also ultimately my family. And pretty much everyone has embraced me, which has been really amazing, especially for my family, because it means I can be more comfortable at home. And I found that when I first started college, I really felt this urgency to come out to everyone like right away. And like whenever I would meet someone, it was almost like the first thing I would say about myself, or one of the first things. But as I've kind of gone throughout college, I realized some things. That first of all, people don't really care so much about that part of my identity. Not so much that they don't care about it like they think it's trivial, but more that they see me for like all the other aspects of me. And it very rarely comes up in conversation unless I'm the one who actually brings it up, which is really awesome. That's what I like to see, because I'm the type of person who likes that part of me to be just like a smaller part of me, which I think is important. And then what's also interesting is that I've kind of realized that I don't really need to tell people that part of me, because it's something that I don't owe people. I can make that part of me as big or small as I want it to be. And if I don't tell someone, that's not like I'm deceiving them, it's just that I'm not telling them a small thing. Just how like anyone doesn't have to tell everyone every single aspect of their life. And like there's some people at college who I'm not yet out to, but not out of malice or anything like that, it's just that it never came up in conversation. And so I think it's worth noting that for any queer person, they're allowed to make their identity as big or small as they want it to be, and all identities are totally valid. And something else is that coming out is like a lifetime process, and I still get butterflies in my stomach when I tell another person, because you never truly know how someone is going to react. You can usually predict pretty well based on things like your surrounding context, and like maybe where people grew up, and if they've normally said good or less good things about LGBTQ+ people. And if they're truly your friends, they'll stick by you. And it kind of shows people's true colors when you open up to them. And thankfully I've gotten overwhelmingly positive responses. But sometimes things don't go super well. And be it coming out or other things, sometimes the people you think might react well not react as well as you would want it to. So a little story I wanted to share, kind of off the topic of coming out, but still important, is that my father passed away a couple summers ago in a self-inflicted car crash. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I had reached out to someone from high school. We were in the same band together, and we were friends, and we had a falling out. And I just wanted to kind of reach out and apologize for my past mistakes, and thank that person for helping shape who I am. And then also explain my dad's story, because that person played a role in my dad's life, and my dad cared about that person. And she just told me that she couldn't care any less about my life update, and that she wished I hadn't reached out to her, which made me so incredibly hurt, and I'm still really hurt by that today. But at the same time, I realized that that is ultimately a reflection of her. I was the one who was willing to have that conversation, and just because she wasn't willing to reciprocate, it doesn't mean that it's something that I did wrong necessarily. And it's ultimately her who decided that I wasn't the person she wanted to care about. And there's only so much I can do. And it's really hard to accept that. And that's kind of analogous to the fact that like there's some people who just won't accept queer identities no matter what. They just have this, maybe it was the way they were raised or just something in the way about having a closed mind, about not wanting to accept or care about someone or something. And I just think that's so unfortunate. And I'm the type of person who just loves to have conversations about things, and I'm always up for a good debate, I guess. And I just find it really sad that some people don't want to show interest in things in the world around them. And yeah, so that person from my high school definitely hurt me very much. But having gone to therapy for both that and my dad's passing, I've realized that what's ultimately best is for me to do what I can actually control. And again, there's only so much I can do, but I have to do what's best for me and take pride in myself and realize that I'm allowed to feel proud of myself and confident and appreciate who I am. And that as long as I know in my heart that I have good morals, then it's okay. And so if you're out there and other people aren't realizing your potential, then just know that that's ultimately a reflection on them, and you are valid, and you can bring your full self you should be able to bring your full self to the table. And if you can't, then do what you can to find people who love you for you, because you deserve to be loved for who you are if you truly are a good person, which is something that it's been hard for me to realize that, because I do tend to ruminate a lot. But my therapist and some other friends and other videos on YouTube have been able to help me. And musical artists too. Always up to listen to some good musical artists, and I'll put some links in the description. And yeah, so have things been totally easy? Certainly not, but I am fortunate overall. I've got, especially since I'm not living in a place where like a don't say gay law exists, and I just think those laws are so damaging, because no matter what's going to happen, queer people are going to exist in society. And to try to teach the incoming generation that queer people are like not valid and not deserving of love is just so unfortunate, in my opinion, because it's just creating a recipe for hatred when that really doesn't need to exist. And I don't think there's anything wrong with showing a kid that, hey, like some people happen to be in same-gender relationships or don't quite follow a social norm, and that it's not the end of the world, and that a lot of those people are just genuinely nice people who are just like anybody else. And so hopefully those laws will kind of subside in the future, but again, gotta realize that there's only so much I can do, and I can try to do my part to create social change. And I've been trying to do that at my college, actually, because I work as a representative at our Gender and Sexuality Center, where I actually help queer people who are kind of used to be in my shoes kind of navigate their identities, which has been a really fulfilling position. And I've gone through a lot of trainings to learn about issues that different members of the LGBTQ plus population face based on their surrounding context, which has really been eye-opening. And I've been vulnerable with my experience and have been learning about other experiences too, which has been really awesome. And just interacting with other people too. Like my friend who is trans was kind of debating whether he should come out to his suite mates. And my instinct was to kind of tell him like, yeah, you should, like, I'm open with a lot of my people and they're fine with it. But at the same time, I had to realize that I couldn't completely empathize with the situation, and he just ultimately had to do what was best in his heart. And so I kind of explained to him like the different options that could come about based on my experience with coming out to various people. And yeah, I think that kind of helped him like weigh the options and figure out what was best for him. And that's actually what I hope to do as a genetic counselor, in helping people evaluate their risk based on genetic risk. And there's so many factors that go into that. And maybe I'll be able to help some queer people too. And since it can be difficult for queer people to start a family, so hopefully I can be that person. And yeah, so some other things. Yeah, so a lot of my coming out experiences have been good. There were some where people were really accepting, but maybe they could have worded things like a little bit better. Like one person said that like obviously that was cool with me, and like when I opened up to him, and that was nice, but at the same time like why was it obvious? Like it could have been better for him to say like I understand that must have been difficult for you and I appreciate you telling me. And yeah, it wasn't like a bad response that he said, but I think it's just worth noting that like because you never know how someone will react, like someone shouldn't say like they were, like it was obvious that like they would have been accepting. And like I remember I was so obsessed with this clip from Andy Mack on Disney where Cyrus had come out to Jonah and Jonah had said, okay, cool. And I've kind of been realizing over time that that wasn't necessarily the best way to show coming out response, because it kind of undermined like all the courage that Cyrus had to build up. And so there's a better clip from Love Victor where Victor comes out to Felix and Felix gives her a hug and says like, thank you so much for telling me, and that obviously that doesn't change anything between us. And again, he used the word obviously as if Victor was supposed to know that, but it was just a more like thorough coming out response, which I thought was really cool. And let's see, got some notes here. Oh yeah, and I'm still watching like other coming out videos and reading stuff from like the website When I Came Out, where people share their stories, because again, power and vulnerability. That helped me when I was coming out at first, and just relating to more and more people I think is so awesome. And yeah, it's just so interesting to learn about like other people's experiences and how they compare to mine, and I hope I can kind of convey that same thing. And I certainly couldn't have come this far without people who have shaped me. And talked about some people before, but my friend Simon is another important person, as he said that everyone in my life is proud of me, which meant a lot. And again, not everyone is going to be super, maybe not everyone will love me, like that person from high school who I talked about. Also a person at my college who was a very fake friend to me and ended up transferring. But everyone who is in my life now and who I actually consider to be like a part of my life, it seems they're proud of me, which really makes me happy and fulfilled. And yeah, like there might be people out there who don't like you for a reason that is not really in your control, but you kind of just have to say like, hey, this is me. I'm willing to talk to you about it, and you might disagree with it, but hopefully we can still be civil. And yeah, just disagreements are hard, arguments are hard, but just got to kind of move forward and again, surround yourself with people who love you for you. Also, I keep thinking there's that joke like if you could take a pill to undo the gayness, would you do it? And I honestly wouldn't do it, because it's given me so much more empathy and like a passion for creating social change, which I wouldn't have gotten if I was just a straight white male. And so I really appreciate I can appreciate the struggles I've gone through, because they've given me strength, especially with my dad passing away and just making me realize that life is so short and that reaching out to people is a beautiful thing. And again, some people won't reciprocate that, but that's a reflection on them, and you know, there's only so much you can do. Let's see here. And yeah, when going through my dad's passing, I of course have gone through the stages of grief. And I think that's something that queer people do as well, because they first want to, like, I remember wanting to deny that part of my identity and pretend it didn't exist, but when I realized that I couldn't really do anything about it, I eventually over time kind of realized that I had to embrace and accept myself. And yeah, it's hard. Acceptance is certainly a difficult thing, and if you're having trouble accepting yourself, just realize that, yeah, it's a valid thing. But hopefully over time, things can get better, and you can do what's ultimately best for you. And try not to take advice from people, or try not to like feel obligated to take advice from people who can't totally understand your situation, because empathy is a really hard thing, and only you know your situation the best. So you gotta ultimately do what you feel is best in your heart. Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today. So thank you all so much for watching my coming out sequel. Yeah, so to kind of summarize, life's been difficult. It's been a roller coaster with a lot of bad, but also a lot of good. Being out to an accepting family is certainly one of the highlights for me, and an overall accepting college, and finding strength in all the darkness, and hopefully in showing my vulnerability, I can instill some positivity in you guys. Hope you all have a great year, and yeah, hope you can check out the music on my channel too.